After the full-scale conquest of the Kabek Wars, the Jujuk Tubevelk became the largest and sole Tubevelk. But after the death of Kabek II in 320, the young and sickly Kabek III was left on the throne, which sparked decades of uncertainty and trouble, which put the future of the Jujuk Tubevelk in doubt. In the year 305, Kabek III had turned 25, and one of his first actions was to invade the neighboring islands of Kirikou, motivated by his paranoia of the Kirikis and his desire to gain the glory both his father and grandfather had. So he sent his armies to the islands, and the initial invasion was a success, and by 304 the Jujuk army had taken the northern portion of Hokushu. But by late 304, the war had reached a stalemate due to the monsoon season. By the next year, the Kirikis had prepared defenses, and the stalemate only continued, made worse by the formation of the Ketsuritsu, who sent assassins to kill Jujuk generals, making the situation worse for the Selians. 209, due to the worsening war effort, Kabek was forced to retreat to Incan and Nkuncha, which only lowered the morale of the troops, and by 294 the Jujuk army retreated, and the war was lost. Shortly after, General Kiko, on his own, started to gather forces for his own invasion in order to get his daughter back, who was captured during the war, but Kabek was able to stop him before he could leave. In the year 285, having lost the paranoia of the Kirikis, he betrothed his daughter Kabek to Isamu, the second son of the most powerful Kirikis lord, Lord Jin, to try to recover the trade routes and regain the trust of the Kirikis. But in 284, Kabek had gotten into an accident, leaving him unable to walk, so his Bitingi, Kahani, had to rule for him, but Kahani ended up serving his own interests and alienated many lords of the Jujuk Tubevelk, much to the displeasure of Kabek and Isamu. This caused much discontent, and in secret, many of them started to discuss overthrowing the Jujuk dynasty or full-on succession, and eventually around the year 260, after the premature death of the future heir to the throne, the daughter of Kabek, those lords formed a secret league known as the Conspiracy of Bevti. From this point, the conspirators waited for the death of Kabek for many years until 250, when Kabek was poisoned by an unknown assassin, and the conspirators took their opportunity. At the same time, Kabek attempted to take the throne from Kahani since he had refused to abdicate after Kabek's death, so she gathered the forces of the city and took back the throne. Shortly after this event, she had gotten word of the full-scale revolt, so she gathered her armies, and the War of the Selian Legion had begun. It started with the siege of Kinun, which remained loyal, but the siege took longer than expected, which allowed an army led by Isamu to reach the city and break the siege and set back the legion. But in the north, the legion was having more success, and by 248 they had taken the major trading port of Hunvi, which was a blow to the Jujuk loyalists. Again, in 246, the legion attempted to attack the capital with a massive army of 30,000, but from the north this time, and was far more successful, getting within 6 kilometers of the city. While this army was attacking the outlying towns, Kilna got word of the rebel army's movements and led his army from the north to cut off the rebel army's supply chain and isolated them. This starved the rebel army, and in 248, the army surrendered and the leaders were executed. This was a great turning point in the war, and in 244, Kilna led his army to the Northern Legion's territory. With most of the forces having surrendered the year before, they didn't put up much of a fight and soon after surrendered. It was many years of brutal back and forth fighting, and during this time the Jujuk army took the legion's capital of Bevti in 241, but still held on. But during the Battle of Hihilira, the main conspirators were killed, and without them all the remaining cities surrendered in 240, bringing an end to the war. After that, there were many purges of possible rebels, but after that, an era of peace and prosperity was secured, and the Selian Golden Age had begun, which continued throughout Kabek, Kilna, and the descendants' reign until the year 20 BID, but we'll go over that in the next video.